One of the biggest reasons people never start on eBay is because they're scared of ending up with a garage full of junk, a pile of stuff that doesn't sell, a pile of wasted money, a pile of, I thought this would work. And honestly, that does happen to people. But usually it's because they're treating eBay like gambling. They're guessing. They're buying emotionally. They're buying randomly. They're buying things because they feel valuable. But here's what changed everything for me. eBay is not a guessing game. You can actually know a lot before you ever spend your money. You can check demand, sell-through rate, sold prices, shipping difficulty, fees. The information is already there. And once you stop guessing, the entire business starts feeling different. When I first started reselling, I bought things based on instinct. This looks expensive. This feels rare. I think it's cool. And sometimes that worked. But a lot of the time, I'd bring something home and realize it sold super slow. It had problems. It was annoying to ship, or the profit wasn't even worth the effort. And that's the trap beginners fall into, because people think reselling is only about profit. It's not. It's about time, labor, stress, storage, testing. A bad item doesn't just cost money. It costs mental bandwidth, especially if you already work a full-time job. The goal isn't to build yourself a second stressful job after work. The goal is to build a process that actually fits your life. One of the biggest mindset shifts for me was realizing that most successful resellers are not guessing. They're researching. Before I buy almost anything now, I look it up. And the biggest thing I check is sold listings, not active listings, sold. Because anybody can list something for any price. I could list a used Xbox controller for $900 right now. That doesn't mean it's worth that. What matters is what buyers are actually paying. Then after that, I check demand. How many are selling? How many are sitting? Because there's a huge difference between an item that technically sells and an item that sells consistently. That matters a lot, because slow inventory kills quiet momentum. You don't want your money sitting on a shelf for 8 months. You want inventory that moves and makes you money. And even if an item has a good sell-through rate, that still doesn't automatically make it a good buy. This is where beginners get trapped, because there's another layer, the real world condition of the item. Does it work? Has it been tested? Are there stains? Does it smell bad? That stuff matters, because every problem adds friction, and friction adds time. And if you're doing this part-time, time is everything. You need a process that's smooth. You want items where you can test them quickly, clean them quickly, ship them quickly, and move on. That's why I always say, the goal isn't to buy more stuff. The goal is to buy better stuff. And this is probably the biggest realization I've had from reselling. The same process can produce completely different profits. That's what makes this scalable. Consider VR headsets. An Oculus Quest 2 and an Apple Vision Pro. Almost takes the same amount of effort to ship, same platform, same listing process, same shipping process. But one might make you $50 and the other can make you hundreds. That changes how you think, because eventually you stop asking, how can I process more inventory? And you start asking, how can I find better inventory? That's a completely different mindset. And honestly, that's when reselling starts becoming really interesting, because the real skill isn't finding random items. The real skill is understanding value, understanding demand, understanding what people actually want to spend money on. Now, obviously, I'm not saying beginners should immediately go buy expensive tech. You should absolutely start small. That's part of the process. You need reps. You need experience. You need mistakes. You need wins. But when you start slow, you can actually train your eye without risking huge amounts of money. And those early wins matter, not just because of the money, but because they teach you, I can actually do this. That confidence matters a lot. And over time, you stop seeing random objects. You start seeing demand, opportunity, risk, and profit. You start thinking like a reseller instead of shopping emotionally. At the end of the day, eBay is only a guessing game if you refuse to look at the information. The information is already there. The sold prices are there, the demand is there, the competition is there. And if you can learn how to read that information, you can avoid a lot of mistakes. That's really what changed reselling for me. Not luck, not some secret product, just learning to make better decisions before spending money. And honestly, the real skill isn't making huge wins. It's reducing bad buys. Because once you reduce mistakes, everything gets easier. And if you're learning eBay right now, or you just want to be around other people figuring this stuff out too, check out my school community, eBay 101 in the description. Thanks.